You are a modern human. You have survived rush hour, a gas station sushi purchase, and at least one dental appointment without anesthetic. You are, by your own estimation, pretty capable. But here is the question. Drop you, right now, as you are, into the Paleolithic. No shoes, no fire, no antibiotics, no one who knows you. How long do you last? Not you in some survivalist fantasy where you've read the books and packed the kit. You, exactly as you are right now. The real answer is uncomfortable, and it is not what kills you that is interesting. It is the order in which things kill you, because it tells you exactly what 10,000 years of civilization has quietly done to your body. Let us start at the bottom, literally. Your feet are soft, not metaphorically, literally. The plantar skin of a modern shoe-wearing adult is a fraction of the thickness of a habitually barefoot human. A 2019 study by Daniel Lieberman's lab at Harvard found that habitually barefoot people in Kenya and Germany had sole skin nearly double the thickness of regular shoe wearers. Your feet hit that rocky ground, and within hours, not days, hours, the skin tears, blisters layer over blisters, and you are limping. A limping primate on the Pleistocene savanna is not a survivor, it is a snack. But bad feet are not what kills you first. Bad feet just slow you down for what kills you first. The thing that kills you first is a scratch. Not a bite from a lion, not a fall from a cliff. A scratch, a thorn through your soft foot skin, a nick from a flint edge while you fumble with tools you have never used. Without antibiotics, without antiseptics, without even the concept of keeping a wound clean, a minor cut in the Pleistocene is a potential death sentence. Septicemia, blood poisoning, moved fast in prehistory. The archaeological record is littered with skeletal evidence of infections that went systemic. Researchers like John Hawkes at the University of Wisconsin have noted that pre-antibiotic infection mortality fundamentally shaped human immune evolution. We survived by dying in large numbers and leaving behind the people whose immune systems were slightly better. That is not a strategy available to you personally. Now, some of you are thinking, I am vaccinated. I have a robust immune system. My body can handle this. Yes and no. Your adaptive immunity is fine for diseases your vaccines cover, but your innate immunity, the first response system, has been quietly pampered by a life without constant microbial siege. The hygiene hypothesis, first proposed by David Strachan in 1989, suggests that reduced childhood exposure to pathogens leaves modern immune systems poorly calibrated for heavy microbial loads. You are not dirty enough for the Stone Age. That sentence should genuinely concern you. So, blistered feet by hour 6, a cut infected by day 3, sepsis a very real possibility by day 7. But let us assume you make it past that. You are limping, you are festering, but you are alive. Now you are hungry, and your gut is not ready for what is available. Wild tubers, raw marrow, bitter, undomesticated plants packed with defensive compounds, insects, grubs, meat that has been sitting in the sun. Now, this is not that your ancestors did not eat this. They absolutely did. The problem is that your gut microbiome, the ecosystem of bacteria in your digestive tract, has been shaped by thousands of years of domesticated, processed, consistent food. A 2015 study in Nature Communications comparing the gut microbiomes of the Hadza hunter-gatherers of Tanzania with Western populations found that Hadza microbiomes were dramatically more diverse, containing bacterial species essentially absent from Western guts. Those missing bacteria are the ones that process wild, fiber-dense, chemically complex food without destroying you. Eat a Paleolithic diet cold, no adjustment period, and your gut revolts. Severe cramping, diarrhea, dehydration. Diarrhea in the Stone Age, no oral rehydration salts, no clean water on tap, is genuinely lethal. Dehydration kills faster than almost anything else on this list. And here is what makes this particularly unfair. Your ancestors were not born knowing what to eat either. They learned it over years of childhood exposure, guided by a group. You arrive as an adult with no knowledge base and no group, which brings us to what may actually be the fastest killer of all. Humans are not apex predators. We are apex cooperators. The individual human animal, stripped of its social group, is astonishingly fragile. Robin Dunbar at Oxford has spent decades documenting how human cognition is social cognition. Our big brains evolved not primarily to solve physics problems, but to manage the complexity of living inside a group. The social group is not just emotional support, it is your memory bank, your food knowledge, your fire-making expertise, your parasite checking system, your lookout network. Without a band, you cannot make fire reliably because firemaking is a motor skill that takes hundreds of hours of practice. You almost certainly cannot do it from scratch. Without fire, no cooked food, which means harder digestion of already alien Paleolithic calories. No warmth, no predator deterrence at night. Speaking of predators, you have a primate fear response that is frankly spectacular. Your amygdala is excellent at generating terror. What you do not have is the embodied, lived experience of what those predators actually do and how to respond. You know lions are dangerous. But knowing and knowing, in the bone, in the reflexes, are different things. Experienced Paleolithic people knew which predators could be deterred and how. You do not have that knowledge. Your response to a large predator at night is likely to be exactly wrong. Now, here is where it gets socially brutal. Say you do find a group. Say some band of Homo sapiens or their near contemporaries encounters you stumbling across the landscape. Do they let you in? Not obviously, not automatically. Paleolithic band membership was not charity. Every mouth needed to justify its presence. Christopher Boehm's work on Paleolithic egalitarianism shows that hunter-gatherer groups were intensely meritocratic in an immediate practical sense. You contribute or you are sidelined. What can you contribute? You cannot track. You cannot process hides. You cannot chip flint. You cannot read the landscape. You cannot communicate in their language. You are an adult who cannot do adult things. In the social logic of a Paleolithic band, that is a catastrophically unusual situation. Bands did tolerate injured or temporarily incapacitated members. The archaeological record shows care for individuals who could not have survived alone. But that goodwill had limits and timelines. And then there is the teeth problem. Your teeth are not Paleolithic teeth. Modern humans have smaller jaws, more crowding, and less worn dentition than our ancestors. Paleoanthropologists can identify a modern skull from a prehistoric one by the jaw shape alone. Eat raw, gritty, hard Paleolithic food on modern teeth, and you crack enamel. You expose nerves. And in the Stone Age, a toothache does not mean a dentist. It means a slow, excruciating infection that spreads to the jaw. Dental abscesses appear regularly in prehistoric skeletal remains as a cause of death, not a complication. The actual cause of death. Now, vision. If you wear glasses or contacts, remove them mentally. There are no opticians in the Paleolithic. Myopia has almost doubled in prevalence in East Asian and Western populations in the last 50 years, strongly associated with reduced outdoor time and near work. The Paleolithic would not have created myopia. But if you already have it, you arrive pre-handicapped. A tracker who cannot see clearly is not a tracker. And not being able to see clearly in a landscape full of things that can kill you is not a minor inconvenience. Let us step back and look at what is actually going on here. Because so far, this sounds like a straightforward list of ways you are worse than your ancestors. And it is. Partially. But it is more interesting than that, because evolution does not move backwards. You have not lost things. You have traded them. The question is whether the trades you have made are any use in 50,000 BC. Some of them are, genuinely. Your brain is not worse than a Paleolithic brain. The Homo sapiens brain has not changed meaningfully in roughly 300,000 years. What sits inside that skull, the raw problem-solving capacity, the pattern recognition, the social modeling, the capacity for language and planning, is identical to what Paleolithic hunters used to survive a world orders of magnitude more dangerous than yours. You are not less intelligent. You are less practiced. Those are solvable problems, given time and given that the things trying to kill you give you that time. Your endurance physiology is actually still very close to your Paleolithic ancestors. The persistence hunting model, the idea that Homo sapiens are built for long, slow chases, holds up anatomically in the modern body. Daniel Lieberman's work on the evolution of human running shows that we have features, sweat glands, Achilles tendons, the ability to dissipate heat, that are genuinely superior to most prey animals over long distances. You have 4 million sweat glands. more than almost any other mammal. That is not an accident, that is 40,000 years of hot, open landscape refinement. If you can keep your feet intact and your gut stable and avoid infection, and that is a very large if, your cardiovascular system is genuinely Paleolithic grade. Your long-distance running capability is ancient and genuine. The problem is that in the Stone Age, running is not optional leisure, it is the job. Your social intelligence is also still working at full Paleolithic spec. Reading faces, inferring intention, building coalitions, managing status. This is what the human brain does natively. The question of whether a Paleolithic band would let you in is partly a question of whether you could make yourself useful to them socially, whether you could signal goodwill, demonstrate learning, suppress arrogance. If you are smart enough to understand that you know nothing and to behave accordingly, you have a shot. The problem is that most modern humans are very bad at knowing that they know nothing. The Dunning-Kruger effect has archaeological implications. Who knew? Let us also acknowledge something that rarely gets said in these conversations. The Stone Age was not uniformly brutal. Life expectancy figures are often misread. Average Paleolithic life expectancy was low largely because infant mortality was catastrophic. Survive childhood and you had a meaningful chance of reaching 50 or even 60. Paleolithic adults were not living in constant, desperate agony. Studies of contemporary hunter-gatherer groups, the Hadza, the Kung, the Tsimane, show periods of genuine leisure, social richness, play, and rest. What the Stone Age was, for a fully competent adult member of a functional band, was hard but rich. The problem is that you are not a fully competent adult member of a functional band. You are a confused tourist. So let us try to put a number on it. How long does the average modern human survive, dropped cold into the Paleolithic with no preparation? Solo, in a temperate Pleistocene environment with no group contact, the median estimate among paleoanthropologists who have engaged with this question, and several have, informally, is under 2 weeks. Not from predators, from the compounding cascade, blistered feet slowing movement, infected wound going septic, dehydration from gut revolt, exposure from failed firemaking. Any one of those is survivable, all of them together compounding with no resources and no help in a timeline of days. The math is not good. With a group accepted into a functioning band, the timeline changes dramatically. Now you are looking at months, potentially years, as your brain begins to absorb the knowledge the group carries. The human brain's extraordinary capacity to learn from observation, mirror neurons, social learning, cultural transmission, is your single best asset in this scenario. Joseph Henrich at Harvard has argued that human cognitive capacity is best understood not as individual genius, but as the collective output of cultural learning, what he calls the secret of our success. The Stone Age human was not a lone genius. They were a node in a knowledge network that had been accumulating culturally transmitted skill for hundreds of thousands of years. You are not starting from zero intelligence. You are starting from zero cultural inheritance. That is actually the most human thing about this situation, and the most revealing. Civilization is not in your genes. It is in the accumulated knowledge of every person who came before you, passed forward through language and teaching and imitation. Strip that away, and you are a very large-brained ape standing in a field, wondering which berries will kill you. And that is not an insult. That is the most honest description of what you are, what we all are. The brain that built the Large Hadron Collider cannot reliably identify a safe wild mushroom without help. There is a version of this thought experiment that makes people feel smug. I would adapt, I am resourceful, and a version that makes people feel dispirited. Both miss the point. The interesting thing is not whether you personally would make it. It is what the answer reveals about what a human being actually is. We are not rugged individuals who build civilization. We are collective animals who collectively build it and then, individually, take far too much credit. The Stone Age would clarify that quickly. Let us also be honest about something that survivalist discourse almost never addresses: modern medication dependencies. A significant proportion of the modern population takes daily medication without which their physiology does not function stably. insulin, antihypertensives, antiepileptics, thyroid hormones. For those people, the Stone Age survival question is not measured in weeks. It is measured in days, sometimes hours. And that is not a failing. It is a direct consequence of living in a society wealthy enough to keep people alive who would otherwise not survive infancy. That is what surplus civilization does. It expands the range of bodies that survive. The Stone Age was a hard filter. We have replaced it with a softer one. That is an unambiguous good. The honest verdict. If you dropped today's median adult, no survival training, no preparation, no group, into a Pleistocene environment, alone, 2 weeks is generous. With a group, after a brutal integration period, using all the social intelligence that modern humans still have, significantly longer, maybe years. Your brain is not broken, it is just the wrong kind of loaded. What this actually tells you is not that you are weak. It tells you what humans fundamentally are. Vehicles for accumulated culture, dependent on social networks for almost everything that makes us capable. Your Paleolithic ancestor was not a rugged individual either. They were also entirely dependent on their group, their inherited knowledge, and the accumulated skills of every human generation before them. They just happened to be carrying the right version. We are not fallen angels who have lost their wild nature. We are exactly what 200,000 years of Homo sapiens evolution made us: social, cultural, deeply interdependent animals who are very bad at surviving alone. That has always been the trick of the human animal. We did not beat the Pleistocene by being individually tough. We beat it by building something that none of us could build alone. And then we forgot we did that, which is frankly on brand. File closed. If this made you think differently about what it means to be a capable human, leave a comment. If you think you would last longer than 2 weeks, also leave a comment. We will all learn something from that conversation.